Hey, welcome to the Micheaux Mission, 2 Men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble. And as always, I'm joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are in our second week of May I Have Another Bad Black Movie. And on an episode that may very well prove to be the final episode of the Micheaux Mission, our guest has dared to come onto our airwaves instead of his own to argue why the filmography of Prince qualifies as bad black movies. It started with him, ladies. It started with him. You may have heard him on your radio dial in New York on WBAI's The Harlem Connection, where he hosts with Mama Soul, bringing you an eclectic, funky radio every Friday evening. Ladies and gentlemen, missionaries, put your hands together for the law of the Harlem Connection, L.ADE Williams. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on today?
Thank you so much. That's a heck of an intro. I do want to clarify one little bit. We started off on WBAI, and we are so proud to be on WBAI Friday nights, as you mentioned. But at this point, we're on 6 other stations as well. So we were on Friday nights and Saturday mornings and Saturday afternoons and Sunday mornings and Sunday afternoons and Sunday evenings. So check us out, the Harlem Connection. On X, we are Harlem Connect FM, and on everything else, we are the Harlem Connection.
All right.
Thanks for having us. It feels really good being from Harlem and being on the Micheaux Mission, especially considering how much respect Oscar Micheaux had for Harlem, how many black films have been filmed in Harlem, based in Harlem, what have you. I feel like I'm home, so thanks for having me.
Excellent. Our pleasure.
Most definitely. And I hope that feeling, that homey feeling, lasts throughout the episode, because I'm just letting you know, you have stirred some stuff up, my friend. You have stirred up the missionaries. But first, let's give a shout out to all of the missionaries out there watching us as we are streaming live from Yunk Junk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace, to all points north, south, east, and west. That means Facebook. That means Twitter, now known as X. And that also means YouTube, where all of the missionaries are out there in the chat. Hello, missionaries.
Good evening, one and all.
Today, I want to tell you, my friend, we started promoting this episode last week, and I swear within 5 seconds of it going out in our newsletter and going out on social medias, we were bombarded by missionaries, especially one young Tanya Pendleton.
Yeah.
Who hit us up of Word FM here in Philadelphia to hit us up like, who this person coming on talking about Prince?
Yeah. L.ADE, I don't know how familiar.
Word FM. Word FM is dope, but I really feel like every black community throughout the country should have their own version of Word FM. So shout out to Word. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Tanya, sorry to make you mad. I will explain myself later, but does she have a question or a condemnation or condiment or something like that?
No. I don't know how familiar you are with Prince's music, but he has a really, really passionate fan base. I don't know if you were aware of that or not, but people really
they seem to like him.
They seem to like him. It seems like he might have legs. It seems like this Prince guy might have legs
after death.
Copy that. So
people are very, very sensitive about any conversation about Prince. Like I said, I don't know how familiar you are with him. I don't know. Did they play Prince in New York? Do you know if they played Prince in New York?
I seem to believe.
Did he make it to New York?
I believe he has actually a Harlem connection.
Do you think maybe he made it to New York?
I believe he made it to New York.
From what I understand, if you make it there,
you can make it anywhere.
So I don't know if I don't know if you're familiar, if you've heard any Prince, but he's quite good actually. He's quite
all right.
good.
So look, I'm on the show in part to have fun, but also to plug the Harlem Connection. So let me connect the two. So on the Harlem Connection, we play music from every genre and every era.
Right.
But only if somebody connected to the song, the singer, the drummer, the producer, the songwriter, someone in the song has to have a Harlem connection.
Okay.
Which we define as they are from Harlem or lived in Harlem or went to school in Harlem or worked in Harlem or performed.
Or can spell Harlem.
That doesn't quite count.
Okay.
But here's the thing. So part of what I love about Harlem and part of what we try to do on the Harlem Connection is if you walk around Harlem, if you walk any given direction for 30 minutes, 35 minutes, you're going to hear about 7 different genres of music.
That's
right?
true.
Sure.
Very true.
And I'm not trying to diss other places, but there are places in this country where if you walk for 4 hours, if you hear music, you're going to hear the same type of music. It's going to be country western over here or whatever, right? In Harlem, you're going to hear merengue, you're going to hear salsa, you're going to hear gospel, you're going to hear rock, you're going to hear everything.
Right.
And part of why I love Prince is because Prince played everything. Like whatever you're into, Prince did. Like we play everything on the Harlem Connection, but without a doubt, my favorite artist is Prince. The man
really
is a musical genius, okay? And he's got a Harlem Connection. He performed like literally around the corner from my house at this little spot called Jimmy's Uptown Cafe, which unfortunately I missed, but that's a whole nother story.
Right.
It was not announced. It was just, Prince did that pop-up thing that Prince be doing.
That's what he do. That's what he be doing.
Just showed up, and the backstory is my friends knew he was going to show up, but I didn't find out till after it was over. And I got angry. It was like, why didn't y'all tell me? And they're like, because you were leaving for your honeymoon. And we knew that if you found out, you try to figure out some way to be like, oh, wait, but maybe I could. And that's not the way to start a marriage. And you know what? They were right. So, Tanya, I love me some Prince.
Okay.
Haven't said that.
All right, hold that, because I can see he's ready.
He's ready. He is ready.
All right.
He is ready.
But let the record show you do enjoy Prince's music and you're familiar with it.
There's rarely a week that goes by on the Harlem Connection radio show where during our 2-hour set, we almost always play a Prince song let me clarify something for those who don't get. So not only are we a radio show, but every week we do a different theme, right? So Valentine's Day weekend, we'll do the Harlem Connection to the Harlem Love Disconnection, songs that you really ought not dedicate to your significant other if you want to have a good Valentine's Day, right?
Ooh.
For Cinco de Mayo, we'll do the Harlem Connection to Cinco de Mayo, and we're only playing songs that have the word 5 in the title or by acts that have 5 in the title of the act. Every week we have a different theme, but we can play Prince pretty much every week because Prince has written songs about everything under the sun. They're like, if you'll forgive the pun, I adore Prince.
I see what you did there.
I see exactly. What
All right.
I'm curious though, just to put a button on your story about not going to see Prince when you were about to leave for your honeymoon. Now, I take it that you're at that moment wife to be or wife learned of this story. Is she a Prince fan?
She is a Prince fan, and my wife is a real trooper. She's down. She doesn't go as in as I do, but no, she's definitely a Prince head.
Nice.
And we did, and I have been fortunate enough to I did get to see Prince perform numerous times I just didn't get to see him. Ironically, I traveled to Vegas to see him perform for the musicology tour, but missed him when he was literally around the corner from my house.
Right.
Wow.
That's how it goes.
Wow. Well, shout out in the chat. We have actually some members of WBAI in our chat. Robert Monroe Jr. is in the house. And Rel is saying that he is loving that Short Eyes poster right off just over your shoulder back there.
Well, I am actually doing this, it's the Micheaux mission, and I decided, well, let me record this from the offices of New Heritage Theater Group, which New Heritage Theater Group has been producing plays and productions in Harlem for 60 years, in addition to a variety of films, whether they are documentaries or short stories, what have you. So shout out to Bulls of Rivers and to Beatrice Bolden, Jamal Joseph, and all the great folks connected to New Heritage Theater.
We're going to get into our show proper, but I'm curious, what is your origin story with Harlem? Were you born and raised, or Harlem found you?
So I had nothing to do with it. My great-grandmother moved to Harlem in the year 1919. And I was lucky because my great-grandmother lived to be over 100 years old.
God bless her.
So most of what I learned about so much of what I learned about Harlem, at a certain point, I got older and was like, wait a minute. So when she was in her 20s, that was during the Harlem Renaissance and the Roaring 20s. And in her 30s, it was the Depression. And in the 40s, it was World War II. And I would just randomly pick up the phone and say oh, great grandma, did you know Marcus Garvey? She's like, oh, I was a Garveyite. Yes, he was from Jamaica. I was from Jamaica. So no, the family's been here for generations. The origin of the show is that during the pandemic, so much of what makes Harlem, the theaters and the museums and the art galleries, etc., they were all closed. And I got the opportunity to start the show, and I wanted to make sure that people remembered the richness of the community and would remember to support all these great organizations and institutions once they reopened. And so that's how we started doing the show. I have my friends, Mama Soul, who I do the show with every week. And the whole show is, we play music from every genre, as I mentioned, but then we will say, oh, well, so-and-so's connection is Prince performed at Jimmy's Uptown Cafe. Jimmy's Uptown Cafe used to be located such as between 131st and 130th Street and Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard. And we, that place no longer exists, but we use that as an opportunity to talk about the Apollo Theater or the Schomburg Center or Mittens Supper Club or so many other great places in Harlem that have been just beds of culture and art and entertainment. And that is the Harlem Connection and how we got into it.
All right.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Yes.
And we're definitely going to get into the Prince talk. But right now, we're going to get into the show, ladies and gentlemen. That means we want to hear from you, your emails. It is time for
Missives from the Missionaries.
So what else is going on, Lynn?
We have emails, Vincent.
Ooh, missives from the missionaries. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, missives from the missionaries.
Missives from the Missionaries, ladies and gentlemen. We have an email, Vincent and Ade, from Ellis Heron.
Hey, what's up, Ellis?
Subject line, it goes down in Bucktown.
All right.
Hey, fellas, I was pleasantly surprised that you reviewed one of my guilty pleasures,
Okay.
Bucktown.
All right.
When I first saw it and was partly through the movie, I thought, okay, they stuck it to the man. Now what? To my surprise, it ended up being a brother versus brother plot twist, which I think helped distinguish it from other blaxploitation movies. I was also surprised to hear the opinion that the movie didn't have much action. I'll take the amount of action in Bucktown over Fred Williamson's other movie, Mean Johnny Borrows, any day.
Interesting.
Compared to that movie, Bucktown might as well be Commando. As for Pam Grier, was it just me or did the love scene look a bit awkward? I always thought Fred Williamson didn't bring his A game in that scene. Well, now I know why, since he said in an interview that he's known Pam since she was 15. So he's essentially been like a protective big brother ever since.
Because he probably knew Rosie Greer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that does make
that
puts a whole different spin on that, right?
Yeah, okay.
Lastly, I was intrigued by the theory that Carl Weathers may have been getting ready to do Rocky while making Bucktown. To help out with the research on that, according to the American Film Institute website, production on Bucktown started at the end of September 1944, and production 74, excuse me. And production began on Rocky at the beginning of January 1976. So there could be a possibility Carl was starting his boxing training towards the end of Bucktown's production. Looking forward to more of your fun commentary on more bad black movies. Your boy Ellis Heron from Fort Worth. P.S. In your opinion, which fight scene was better? Fred Williamson versus Thomas Russella in Bucktown, or Keith David versus Roddy Piper in They Live?
Come on. Keith David versus Roddy Piper in They Live could have been a movie on its own.
It could have been just yes, that is a certified classic.
But look at Ellis with the research.
Well, Ellis, he does his work. Yeah. But it means that we were right.
Yeah.
He ducked out.
And by we were right, you were right. That was your theory. That's very nice.
Thank you,
Very
Ellis.
nice, gentlemen. Look at you with the theory. And then Ellis went and proved. I love it. Science. Black men doing science.
All right. We have another email, Vincent. This is from Michael Sykes.
Hey, what's up, Michael?
Hello, Len and Vincent. Last week when I asked y'all what blaxploitation genre would you choose and who would you have do the score, Vince said horror and he would have Bobby Womack score it.
Yes.
Len said science fiction / Afrofuturism and he would have Earth, Wind, and Fire do the score. Vincent teased you saying they did such a good job scoring sweet badass song and you enjoyed it, so you picked Earth, Wind, and Fire. Len, I was appalled you didn't come back saying they scored and won a Grammy for their 1975 three-time platinum hit album soundtrack, That's the Way of the World.
Yeah.
Which had hits like Shining Star,
they did.
Reasons, and the self-titled album of the song. The movie starred Harvey Keitel, Ed Nelson, and the band themselves, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
Directed by Sig Shore. I actually was not aware of the movie.
Really?
I did not realize that album was a soundtrack.
It is exactly what it sounds like. Like Harvey Keitel plays like a manager.
Okay, like a music manager.
Right, of them.
Of Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Right. I don't know if Earth, Wind, and Fire
they may not be calling themselves
playing Earth, but they might be.
Okay.
But it's not good.
The movie,
but it's an interesting little
That's interesting. So from 1975.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I was not aware that was a soundtrack.
I have long listed that in June.
That movie.
Yeah, like
it can't be a black movie.
I mean, Earth, Wind, and Fire are like the main characters. Like the movie's actually about them.
Okay.
I mean, not,
All right.
Harvey Keitel is the
manager.
The manager, and it's about him. But like it's Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Well, I mean, we can have the argument.
Yeah.
Are you aware of this movie? I was not aware. Is that the name of the movie? That's the way of the world.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I'm aware of it, but in fairness, only relatively recently, I saw a documentary. I think it's called "Am I Black Enough for You?"
Yes.
I might have. Right. That's how I became aware. I mean, I've known that album my whole life, and just found out like over the last year and a half or so that there was the movie. So
I probably skipped all over that part because I saw that documentary too. Am I black? Oh wow! Wow. Okay. Well, this is why you get up every morning.
Look, man. You learn something new.
All right. Don't get me wrong. He continues. Michael Sykes continues. Len, if your science fiction Afrofuturism movie came out from 73 to 77 during the prime of the Earth, Wind, and Fire career, your movie and soundtrack would have outsold, outshined, and outsmarted Vincent's Bobby Womack horror movie score and film.
Well, you know, mine would have been for a more cerebral audience. So, you know, I understand you. It's okay.
Whatever. Whatever. You're very picky, Len, but I agree with you on having Earth, Wind, and Fire scoring your science fiction action Afrofuturism movie. Thank you, Michael Sykes. I appreciate you, my brother.
Thanks, Michael.
You know what you're talking about. I like Michael. I like the cut of his jib. Mm-hmm. We got another email, Vincent. This one is from Michael Lockett.
Hey, what's up, Michael?
Len and Vincent, I wanted to get a bad black movie for the first week of May, and I did. It wasn't Bucktown, however, but Loving Jezebel on my time travels.
Gasp. You know I love Loving Jezebel.
Loving Jezebel had all the makings of a good dramedy. Love and lust are rich subjects everyone relates to. Some talented actors, a direct entrance to talk about race and colorism in relation to dating. Other than a couple of okay performances, this film was bad.
Aww.
In fact, it was worse than just being bad. It was predictable.
Aww.
At least with bad films, sometimes you can love them because of how bad they are.
Aww.
Bucktown is, as your esteemed guest said, ripe for a remake. Where this film excels and Loving Jezebel fails is when we get the twist that the saviors are now the oppressors. If this were to get remade, who would you two cast in the lead roles? Who would you cast in the lead roles of a remake of Bucktown?
Yahya Abdul-Mateen and Aldous Hodges.
All right, I'm with that.
Did you see the trailer for Alex Cross? The new
I
Alex
haven't watched
Cross
it.
show with Aldous Hodges?
No.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious because this is the third Alex Cross adaptation. Like Morgan Freeman, with like old man Morgan Freeman played him, and then Tyler Perry played him for some reason. But apparently an intern at the office turned on Luther and said, why don't we just do that? Like, why don't we just make Luther? But like American.
Right.
And somebody said, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
And then they did. And now it looks fantastic.
So then they just borrowed the Alex Cross character.
It's just American Luther. I mean, it's just a trailer.
Okay.
But it's like Aldous Hodges, detective, psychological stuff. He's cool as shit.
That's all I need.
Right.
That's all I need.
So it looks fantastic.
Where's that going to?
Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon, you gotta search, but it has some interesting stuff.
Look.
It does.
Look, I think Amazon is fighting with Apple with we're going to make like super good, super quality products and then just not advertise.
You're not advertising.
We're just,
Yeah.
you know, you find them if you can.
Right? Exactly. That's how Amazon is.
We spent $100 million on it, and it's like very meticulously detailed and well crafted, and we're not going to advertise it at all. We're just going to throw it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is. All right.
All right.
One last email.
This
is from Corey P.
What's up, Corey?
Hey, Len and Vince. Sorry for the late email. You may or may not receive, but greetings anyway. I have a question for the two of you to answer. If you pick two actors that are not usually in comedic films, who would they be? For me, it would be Vivica A. Fox and Halle Berry. This may be a reach, but Halle Berry could have been in more comedy movies since her timing is always impeccable.
Yes.
She is unintentionally hilarious. Take Baps and Why Do Fools Fall in Love, for instance.
There it is.
I was crying laughing at her role as Zola Taylor in Why Do Fools Fall in Love. Her and Vivica complement each other. You can even say her role as Niecy in Baps. She was having so much fun. I would love to hear your thoughts. Corey.
Thoughts on them or suggest some more people that are funny?
Well, two actors who are usually you don't see in comedies who you would like to see maybe in a comedy. I'll tell you one.
Who?
We've mentioned them a couple of times. And that's Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington has not done a straight
No, he has.
comedy probably since Carbon Copy.
Yeah.
I mean,
like an actual comedy.
Right.
Like I'm thinking like there are funny moments in The Preacher's Wife.
there's funny moments in The Preacher's Wife.
But you're right.
And he's kind of funny every once in a while. He gets a comment off. But
Maybe he learned his lesson from Carbon Copy.
Perhaps, but he's not to blame for Carbon Copy. He's like a young buck, you know. He's still cashing St. Elsewhere checks.
Right.
So he didn't learn on Carbon Copy. So I would say the first one off the top of my head would be Denzel Washington.
Denzel. Top of my head, I'll go actress. And I'll stay in that caliber.
I know what you want to say.
Do you think I'm going to say Viola Davis?
Yes.
Because you're right.
Yeah.
I feel like Viola Davis might be funny.
Here's the thing.
There's something about her physicality in movies where I feel like being funny a lot of times is your timing and your rhythm and your physicality. And I think she has it.
I think she has it verbally. But here's the thing about Viola Davis. If you ever pay attention to Viola Davis, no matter what she's in, every movie, every television show, Viola Davis may have the hardest, coolest strut on earth. She just walks cool like she means business.
But that could be funny.
I can't see that. That's not making me laugh, and she's scaring me. She can either come in and take my lunch money, pull me by the ear, whatever, tell me that she see dirt in my room.
So I say I didn't know where you were gonna go with that whatever, because Viola Davis sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, again, that ain't funny.
Right.
It ain't funny.
I'm gonna stick with Viola.
No, that's a good one though.
All right.
That's a good one. Ade, if you could name any actor, typically not in comedies, you might want to see pull off.
Okay, so I be doing like radio and music, so, but I would go with Alfre Woodard. Now, I don't know if she does comedy or not. You know, I know her more for like Luke Cage, but
Sure.
Yeah.
something, but just some of her delivery of Luke Cage that just lets you know, like she got jokes.
I don't know if she meant to be funny towards the end of Holiday Heart,
Yeah.
but she's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen her in a comedy or two.
Yeah.
But it's certainly not
Not lately. And not
lately,
often.
and certainly not
Right,
often.
sure.
Right. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one, Alfred Woodard. But to be fair, we've all picked actors that are a little bit more seasoned.
Sure.
Is there anyone maybe a little bit more like on the it might be interesting to see Yahya Abdul-Mateen. You mentioned him. Because like I don't like does he smile?
I know.
I've never seen he did smile as a black man.
And I'm gonna say Corey Hawkins just because I think Corey Hawkins can do everything.
Yeah, but I feel like I've seen him in a comedy.
What comedy did you see him in?
I feel like I saw Corey Hawkins in a comedy.
Was it a real comedy or one that you kind of made up in your mind?
No. I feel like well, maybe it was Straight Outta Compton, but no, it was. I think I saw him. I feel like I saw him in I'm looking up his filmography right now. Corey Hopkins. I feel like I saw him in a comedy.
Are you thinking about Fran Drescher?
No, I'm not thinking about Fran Drescher.
Are you sure?
No. Yeah, you're right. He hasn't done any comedies. He hasn't done one comedy.
Sure.
I guess he's kind of funny as Harpo.
Not really.
Yeah, really. No. He hasn't done that.
Are you sure you weren't watching Short Circuit, the film about a robot that comes to life?
He's not done any.
You're thinking about Short Circuit, aren't you?
He hasn't done any comedies. Everything.
Or Teen Wolf?
He wasn't.
Are you thinking about Teen Wolf?
He wasn't in Teen Wolf.
Where Michael J. Fox turns into a werewolf who is also a teenager?
What?
Are you thinking about Teen Wolf?
I'm not thinking about Teen Wolf.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Because, I know sometimes you get Michael J. Fox and Corey Hawkins mixed up. Am I speaking out of school?
You weren't supposed to say it.
I'm sorry.
In front of guests?
I know. Are you thinking about The Night of the Comet? A surprisingly good zombie film from the 80s, which is also a commentary on the Valley Girl.
Didn't you say you had a heart out?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to help you.
I'm fine.
All right.
I'm off it.
Okay.
All right, that's our emails, ladies and gentlemen. If you want
Are you thinking about the remake of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, but the one with the Bee Gees?
Wait a minute. The Bee Gees wasn't a remake. That was the first movie.
It was
That
and
was a
Earth,
remake
Wind,
of
and
the
Fire was
Beatles.
in it. So
I know, that's why I
look
thought
at-
about it. No, the Beatles
Full
made it
circle.
first.
The Beatles didn't make Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band.
I mean, they made the album. You're saying there wasn't a movie?
Yeah, they didn't make a movie with
All
it.
right. Maybe I'm thinking of Transformers, the animated film.
Are you thinking about Under the Yellow Submarine?
Could be. Come on, hurry up. You're distracting us.
All right.
All right.
If you want to share your thoughts with us, ladies and gentlemen, email the Micheaux Mission at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUX MISSION at gmail.com. And now it is time for the top 5.
All right.
My top 5 is my top 5 is where I come up with a top 5 list, and Vincent and our good friend L.ADE Williams of the Harlem Connection share their scintillating commentary on my list. And gentlemen, keeping it in theme for the evening,
Okay.
as we're going to be talking about, with some disparagement, about the filmography of Prince, I have for you Prince's 5 favorite movies.
From
Interesting.
5 to 1.
5 to 1.
Did he rank them? Okay.
These are ranked. These are actually ranked. Now, to be
Interesting.
fair, number 5 and number 4, there's some argument of how much he actually liked these films or just had appreciation for these films.
Okay, fair.
Okay.
There's sometimes those aren't the same thing.
Exactly.
We'll be talking about Under the Cherry Moon in a few minutes.
Very, very much so.
All right.
But starting with number 5,
Okay, Prince's 5th favorite movie.
we have from 1972, The Godfather.
I mean, solid pick.
A very solid pick.
Good movie.
It's a very good movie.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that.
Now, the argument of this being one of Prince's favorite movies is because there has been talk about how Prince actually used quotes from The Godfather on the Madhouse album.
Interesting.
Do you know what quotes that he used in on the album?
I do not.
Do
I am
you?
ashamed to say that I do not know.
He used actually two quotes. Well, I think he used multiple quotes, but 2 quotes in particular. One, and a man in my position cannot afford to be made to look ridiculous.
Sure.
You know who says that in The Godfather?
I don't remember.
That is the movie producer who says that to Robert Duvall's character. When Robert Duvall comes to try to get him to give Johnny the role in the movie, and he's saying like, no,
Right.
I can't give him that role.
Sure. And then on a completely related note, I'm now going to go home and go to sleep. Wake up the next day, fully rested, with nothing having occurred in my bed through the night. Is that the same?
That's the same
That's game,
movie
yeah.
producer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And the other quote
Other quote?
is, and then they took advantage of her.
Okay.
You remember where that quote is from?
I don't.
That is from the beginning of The Godfather,
Okay.
when the Undertaker
is trying to get the favor from Don Corleone on the day of his daughter's wedding.
exactly.
Day of my daughter's wedding.
Yes, and he talks about how these guys took advantage of his daughter.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sitting here realizing I don't know if I've watched The Godfather from beginning to end in probably a decade.
Seriously?
I know.
Wow.
Somehow it's yeah, I looked up and it's been 10 years since I've watched The Godfather.
I've watched The Godfather every year.
That's a solid decision.
I do.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I love both of them.
Somehow I've seen Tyler Perry's Temptation, a film by Tyler Perry.
More than The Godfather.
Yeah.
It's-
And I watched the entire True to the Game trilogy on Tubi last week. Yeah.
You know what they call that?
Po choices. Po choices. Po choices. Dr. Maddie Mar Clark would be upset with me,
we
as portrayed by Anjanou Ellis.
would. All right, number 4.
Number 4
Prince's fourth favorite movie
would be,
from 1984,
okay,
Amadeus.
I can see that.
Now, there are a couple of reasons why Amadeus is considered possibly one of Prince's favorite movies.
Okay.
One is, if anyone has seen the film Amadeus from 1984 by Milos Forman, which tells the story of the great composer Mozart, as he is more popularly known. If you look at that movie and you look at the fashions that are on display in that movie,
Sure.
this is right around the same time that Prince starts adorning himself in similar fashion.
Sure. The Philly
For the
shirts.
Purple Rain movie and tour.
Okay.
And would then become like his signature look.
Sure.
To variations for the next few years.
Sure.
All right. So that is one of the reasons why people, see the correlation between Prince.
Link seems a little tenuous, but I'll go with it.
Tenuous, you're right.
All right.
However, there is something that is even a little deeper.
Okay. It would have to be.
All right. So
Because I thought maybe he saw the Pirates of Penzance.
I am about to give you
Philly shirts.
both some facts that may connect not only Prince to the movie Amadeus, but to Mozart himself.
Okay.
Prince Rogers Nelson was born on June 7th, 1958 at 6:17 p.m. in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Okay.
He has the sun at 16 Gemini and moon at 1 Pisces. His rising sign is 16 Scorpio. One of the things that jumps out in Prince's chart is his Pluto at 29 Leo, parked exactly on his midheaven 29 Leo. Prince was born to literally and metaphorically rock the world. His Pluto opposes his moon, and this placement is not for the meek. This is someone who, A, came to shake things up, and B, be loud as F while he was doing it. Mozart was born in Salzburg, Austria on January 27, 1756. His listed birth time is 8 p.m. Mozart's sun is 7 Aquarius. This conjuncts his Mercury at 8 Aquarius. Prince has Uranus, which rules Aquarius, opposite to this placement at 9 Leo. Mozart has Neptune at 9 Leo, the first tight interest aspects between the charts. The more of these that we find, the tighter they are, the higher degree of probability, at least based on theories, that Prince and Mozart may be past life matches.
Sure. So we're going to go with the Philly shirts. What's his third favorite movie?
You still calling that tenuous? That feels
Like a lot of words. That was a lot of words.
It was.
Subject, verbs, objects. Period. And another subject. It was a lot of words.
It was conjunction junction.
What's your function? There were conjunctions in there as well.
Hooking up words, phrases, and clauses.
Right. Long sentences. Some commas in there.
And finally, a period.
Yeah, finally.
Number three.
Number three.
From 1979. Now, I was not aware of this film.
Okay.
And now from 3 to 1, these are in order.
Okay.
Prince's actual favorite movies.
Okay. All right.
From 1979, Quadrophenia.
Oh, is that the Who?
Yes.
That's the Who movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
An angst-ridden London youth, Jimmy Cooper, played by Phil Daniels, escapes the drudgery of his postal job as a member of the Mods, a sharply dressed gang constantly at odds with their rivals, the Rockers. When the Mods and Rockers clash in the coastal town of Brighton, England, it leads to both trouble and an encounter with the lovely Steph, played by Leslie Ash. This is a film that inspired Prince because a lot of the fashions in there are people wearing long trench coats. This is 1979. Prince, debuts with the long trench coat. And also, if you ever see this film, or even if you just watch the trailer, there are long scenes of long scenes of these youths driving across the countryside on motorcycles, and a lot of this imagery is imagery that he would then bring forth in Purple Rain.
Sure.
As well.
A-Day, you have
Once you get to number one, before you say it, I want to take a guess at it, but when we get there.
Okay. It's interesting, in 1979, just a quick note about this movie, Quadrophenia, which is primarily white actors in this movie.
Yes.
As you can, based on the Who's album. But there's a black actor in the film, Trevor Laird, who was scripted to appear in a party scene, kissing and having sex with a white girl. But was excluded from the scene by the associate producer, John Perival, due to concerns that it could cause problems with distributors in South Africa and the southern United States.
Sure. Not big fans of the blacks and the whites commingling.
Even in 1979.
Why are you saying even in 1979?
It seems so recently for that still to be a thing.
Sure.
In the South, but that's crazy. All right, number 2. And this is a film that I've always been aware of, but I haven't seen.
Okay. Maybe
you've seen it. Maybe A-Day has seen it. From 1977.
Okay.
Eraserhead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Henry resides alone in a bleak apartment surrounded by industrial gloom. When he discovers that an earlier fling with Mary X left her pregnant, he marries the expectant mother and has her move in with him. Things take a decidedly strange turn when the couple's baby turns out to be a bizarre lizard-like creature that won't stop wailing. Other characters, including a disfigured lady who lives inside a radiator, inhabit the building and add to Henry's troubles. Roy Bennett, Prince's light designer for the 1999 tour, told the Current that when Prince was making 1999, he repeatedly screened this David Lynch film, which was David Lynch's debut feature. He said, he quotes, "We spent a few times watching Eraserhead together, just the two of us. The way I look at it now, it's a very surreal experience because it's a bizarre movie.
It is.
It's engaging but disturbing at the same time. It doesn't really tell a story. It's abstract emotion that started me to realize that you never want to be obvious about what you're trying to say. You give people enough headroom to decide what it is, and that is what Prince was doing with his whole persona and his music and wanted in his stage show."
Yeah. I laughed because when you said the plot, I said, so that's what it's about. Because I've seen it like twice, and I had no idea what it was about.
I've always heard of the movie.
Yeah. It's very evocative, like the imagery, and like it's a very evocative film. And see it on a big screen if you can. But yeah, I didn't know what it was really about.
All right, so now I'm going to take my stab at what I think the number one film, Prince's favorite film is.
Okay.
All right, let's see.
What do you think?
All right. So I'm going with on my favorite Prince album is, and that's really hard because I love so many of them, but had to pick one is Sign of the Times.
Absolutely. That's the only correct
Sign of the
choice.
Times, he had a song, Gonna Be a Beautiful Night, which starts off with, oh, we, oh, yo. And I'm guessing that since that is from the Munchkins refrain from The Wizard of Oz, that was Prince's favorite film.
That's not a bad guess.
That's not a bad guess.
That's not a bad. Is it correct?
Do you want to take a guess at what you think Prince's favorite movie is? Because that's a very good guess.
I am going to be a little bit on the nose and say The Man Who Fell to Earth.
I thought you were going to say The Prince and the Pauper. What's it?
Right.
The Man Who Fell.
Right. I'm going to go with the Bowie.
The David Bowie.
The David Bowie can.
Why are you saying that one?
Because I feel like they were kindred spirits to a certain extent. You know, kind of musical chameleons, kind of, you know, very kind of hyper aware of their personas.
Yes.
You know, so I'm going to say The Man
Gender
Who Fell to Earth.
blending.
Yeah. The gender blending. Yeah. So I'll say The Man Who Fell to Earth.
That's a very good one as well. That is a very.
But we are both wrong, aren't we?
You are both
All right.
way off.
It's going to be like The Last Starfighter.
No, it's not.
All right.
If only it was something that you had heard of.
I know. Okay.
From 1980,
1980.
Prince's favorite movie,
Favorite movie?
The Idolmaker.
Okay.
Wait, Neil Diamond? No, that was jazz singer. Okay,
That's the jazz
what's
singer.
The Idolmaker.
The Idolmaker is a musical drama from 1980 that tells the story of a record man, like a music manager,
Okay.
who discovers a young guy. It's kind of like a period piece set in like the early, I think late 50s.
Okay.
He discovers like the next big thing, and proves to be like his Svengali to turn him into a star.
Okay.
Right now, it's a very, very like slept on film. Stars Ray Sharkey, a huge character actor of the 70s and 80s. It was a pivotal influence on the edifice of Prince's art. The 1980 musical drama had a profound effect on the output that followed from Prince. The film was based on the life and times of rock promoter and producer Bob Mariucci, who discovered a string of prominent acts, including Frankie Avalon and Fabian. The crux of Mariucci's marketing style was to ensure that you knew who a Mariucci act was. He drummed up his sense of Svengali aura to try to generate a wind of hysteria around those who he worked for. However, the promotional line was blurred, and you wondered whether he was a puppet master of the industry or a man tangled up in his own narcissism. You start to see a little bit of
Sure.
Prince in there. Refrains like everything you do up there is me, every note you sing is me, might have an eerie air of recognition to them while you watch, but in truth, the film isn't what you call a masterpiece. But for Prince, it was more so the concept that he found himself enamored with. He pored over it endlessly with multiple viewings. Thus, Prince set about building something new with it and blurring the lines of reality. He would, in a roundabout way, become a real-life Mariucci in the way that he develops The Time and Sheila E.
Sure.
And then starts working with other people, Sheena Easton and
Lil Tevin Campbell.
Lil Tevin Campbell and Shaka Khan. According to Des Dickerson, who watched the film with Prince, when he had an idea, he wouldn't let go until he did it. Inspired by the film, the monomaniacal creative perfectionism of Prince soon kicked in, and he would craft his own Mariucci down to a T.
Okay.
And that was actually his favorite movie.
Interesting.
Favorite movie.
Okay.
The Idolmaker.
The Idolmaker.
From 1980.
I will try and watch that.
Please do and tell me what it.
I will.
But actually, it's a period piece, so it looks kind of interesting.
Sure,
I like
sure.
period pieces.
We'll report back to class.
All right.
All right.
All right. So that was our Prince Rogers Film Festival, ladies and gentlemen. Now it is time for us to play the game of kings.
Kings and princes.
A day, prepare to be astonished as Vincent sets forth and plays 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin. 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin, ladies and gentlemen, where I give Vincent an actor, and he has 6 films or less to connect said actor to a king among kings.
That's right.
The great D'Urville Martin.
What is a prince to a king?
A D'Urville.
That's right.
All right, Vincent.
All right.
A day is your lifeline, who has made it known that he's not much of a movie buff.
Okay.
And yet, he's hanging in there.
Look.
You never know what people watch.
You never know.
You never know. Keeping it in theme. We're going to be talking about the filmography of Prince tonight.
Yes.
So these are 2 actors
Okay.
who have royalish names.
Royalish names.
Yes.
Damn, I thought you were going to do Grace Kelly. All right, go ahead.
So in 6 films or less, connect D'Urville Martin
Okay.
to
2.
Perry King.
I have no idea who that is.
Yes, you do.
You just looked and saw somebody named King?
No, I know Perry King.
Do you know Perry King?
I do know Perry King, and I know he's in a film that I'm fairly certain you've seen. That is Perry King. He's in a film I'm fairly certain you've seen.
Like he looks vaguely familiar. Has he starred in something?
He starred in quite a few.
Has he starred in something people have seen?
The film that I think you saw, he was one of the stars.
What film is that?
Well, if I tell you, it's giving it away.
No, you're going to have to. I have no idea who that white man is. You just showed me a random white man.
I did not show you where in white man. I showed you Perry King.
What film was he in that I saw?
I believe you saw this film.
What film is that?
From 1974.
I mean, that's a good year. I like films from the 70s.
Okay. I'm going to tell you about the movie.
Oh, for God's sake. What is the movie? Go ahead. What is it? Yeah, tell me about the movie.
It's about 4 guys.
1974. 4 guys in 1974.
Right? In leather jackets.
Leather jackets.
No. Leather jackets. One of them has just a cut-off jean jacket.
Is it No, that's not the Outsiders.
That's the Outsiders.
That's the 80s.
That's the 80s.
All right.
74. 4 white guys.
4 white guys.
Running around. DuckTales.
It's not Grease. Is it Grease?
Not Grease.
It's not Grease.
It's not Grease.
It's
Inspired one Gary Marshall
to do Happy. Oh, right, because Fonzie is in it.
Yes.
What is that? The Kings of New York?
No, not Kings.
The Princes.
A little bit more.
The Lords of Flatbush.
A little bit. There you go.
The Lord. All right. Oh, okay. All right. Because Fonzie's in that.
Yes.
Is Sylvester Stallone in that?
Yes, he is.
Okay. All right. There you go. All right. Bet. All right. So D'Urville Martin is in Dolomite.
Yes.
With Rudy Ray Moore. Rudy Ray Moore is in Penitentiary 2 with Mr. T. Mr. T is in Rocky 3 with Sylvester Stallone. And Sylvester Stallone is in The Lords of Flatbush. Who is he in The Lords of Flatbush?
He's one of the lords.
Seriously?
Oh, he is.
So the other 3 lords is Fonzie.
Is Henry Winkler, Sylvester Stallone.
Who's the third one?
Perry King, And Paul Mace is the one that that did nothing after the movies.
Yeah, but Steve King had a long
Perry King.
Perry King had a long illustrious career.
Perry King, yes.
What else was he in, Lynn?
Okay, he was in 2004. He was in the movie The Day After Tomorrow. He was also in
The TV movie?
No, The Day After Tomorrow was a film. It was a movie. It was a Roll Emmerich film.
Oh, right. Okay. It was like 30,000 people in there. All right, go ahead. What else was he in?
He was in. I'm looking for movies that from 1975. He was in Mandingo.
He must have played the white guy.
You think? He was in Slaughterhouse 5.
Was he really?
Yeah, from 1972. That was a good movie, actually.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. Mandingo had Ken Norton in it.
Mandingo had Ken Norton in it. He was in Blake Edwards' Switch with Ellen Barkin and Jimmy Smits. Yeah. I mean, and now admittedly, he made a little bit of a mark on television.
Right.
Because in television, let me see the television you may have known him from. He was in an episode of Tales from the Crypt.
Oh, an episode. All right, look. Look.
You're so disrespectful.
Sure, no, look.
He's so disrespectful.
He was a Lord of Flatbush that no one remembers.
He actually.
He was one of the lords. Right. Which is why Gary Marshall built a whole television show around him.
The other one.
Yeah, right. Why Gary Marshall built an entire television show about the one that was scared to ride motorcycles. That's how good Henry Winkler was. He was a little nebbish Jewish guy who was afraid of motorcycles. You know what? I can work with him.
I'm not saying that Henry Winkler wasn't more talented than Perry King.
Oh, please don't say that.
But I'm saying Perry King was
right.
He was doing the thing.
Right.
He was doing the thing. You need to watch it again. Put some respect on Perry King's name.
Sure.
All right.
I'm sure I'll watch The Lords of Flatbush and say, wow, that Perry King.
All right.
Which is what we all said throughout the 70s when we watched it. Sylvester Stallone went on to be Sylvester Stallone. And I cannot stress this enough. The 5'2" Jewish guy who was afraid of motorcycles. Gary Marshall said, I can make him a cultural phenomenon.
Are you ready for the next one?
Sure.
All right. Keeping it in theme.
Keeping it in theme.
With this royalish name.
Yeah, royalish name.
This is going to be easy. In 6 films or less, connect D'Urville Martin
to
Patty Duke.
That is actually my blind spot. The television actress who made movies. And I know Patty Duke actually had a pretty long film career.
And she was in a movie that gets referenced on this show more than a few times.
Was she?
Yeah.
Because the bad thing, I just see her as... See, the problem is I only think of Patty Duke as a teenage girl.
The show.
Yeah, so the only thing I can really think of... Was the Helen Keller... Was that in the movies? Okay. So... Shit, is that like,
you don't know who played the woman...
Is it like Anne Bancroft?
There you go.
Okay. All right. So really, I got to get to Anne Bancroft.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you can get to her easy.
Well, the bad thing is I can't because I really only think it's so terrible. Like, the really, like, the only reason I know Anne, like I said, Anne Bancroft, and I just saw her leg.
I know.
You know, that's the only.
I know.
Like, that's the only reason you really think of Anne Bancroft.
Well,
because I mean, come on. Like if something happens,
I'm a fan.
If it happens, right,
I can name other movies.
Right, if
that
something happens to Anne
Bancroft was in.
Bancroft, they just gonna show her leg.
That's true. It's her most famous role.
Right. So, all right. So D'Urville Martin. Because the bad thing, this is terrible. This is the quickest way I get to him. This is so me. All right. So D'Urville Martin, because I got to get all right. D'Urville Martin is in Sheba Baby, with Pam Grier. Pam Grier is in Jackie Brown.
Yes.
With Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro is in Heat with Al Pacino. Al Pacino is in Dick Tracy with Dustin Hoffman, who is in The Graduate with Anne Bancroft, who is in with like the Helen Keller story.
It's
Is it called The Helen Keller Story?
It's not called the Helen Keller story. It's called The Miracle Worker.
The Miracle Helen Keller, The Miracle Worker with
Patty Duke.
Patty Duke.
Very good.
Patty Duke. There you go.
Well done.
There you go. I know I could get to Dustin Hoffman quicker and easier. But like the fact that Dustin Hoffman and Al Pacino were in Dick Tracy.
The fact that Dustin Hoffman
Never not cracks me up.
Al Pacino, and they're good in the movie.
I mean,
they're the best parts of the movie.
Look.
They are literally the best parts of the movie.
That and the costumes.
And the costume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. What movie is Patty Duke in that we talk about all the time?
The Miracle Worker. It's come up a couple of times.
We've never talked about the Miracle.
It has come up.
We have never spoken about the Miracle Worker. I swear you're cheating on me and you have some kind of secret podcast. We have never talked about the Miracle Worker.
We have mentioned it once or twice.
Why? Why were we talking about the Miracle Worker?
I guess
Because it never happened.
about movie with people that have disadvantages.
We have never mentioned the Miracle Worker on this show.
No, we've never said the Miracle Worker, but we have mentioned Helen Keller.
We're making jokes about Helen Keller.
But we weren't making. It's not about jokes. It's not always about jokes, Vincent.
I swear you have a secret podcast.
Don't
use like a funny voice. This is WinLab. With sports talk.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I talk about my old-timey movies. I talk about my...
WinLab with old-timey movies.
Old-timey movies with WinLab. The Miracle Worker with Anne Bancroft.
Right.
Helen Keller.
Right.
It's Patty Duke.
Never talked about the Miracle Worker.
We've mentioned Helen Keller.
We have never mentioned Helen Keller on this show.
We have. It's fine. It's fine. You don't remember.
Right. I'm the one with the bad memory. That's what they say about Vince. He never remembers anything.
Do you know who Anne Bancroft was married to?
I do not.
She was married to Mel Brooks.
Okay.
I found that interesting. I would never see. Like if you see the leg in The Graduate, you can imagine Mel Brooks on the other side.
He's funny. Funny guys always get women.
Yeah, but he's funny looking too.
Man, all right.
Oh yeah, we got to do so. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So that's 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin.
Miracle Worker.
What? It is now time for us. Well, actually, it's now time for all of us.
All of us.
To see exactly what is wrong with Ade Williams of the Harlem Connection. That he believes the filmography of Prince qualifies as bad black movies. Ade, my man.
Yes, sir.
What's wrong with you, bruh? I mean, you trying to get our show. You try see he owns 6 radio networks, so he good.
Right.
So he just trying to take down this little old podcast.
I know.
We just got one stream, dog. We just got one stream.
It's actually it's 7. It's 7. But the point is, so y'all ready to get into it?
Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into this, man. Let's get into this.
All right. So look, I'm going to repeat one more again because I know some people tuned in late, missed my disclaimer earlier. Harlem Connection plays all kinds of music genres. Prince performed all kinds of music genres. he is without question my favorite artist of all time. I'm sorry, he's my favorite musician of all time.
All right.
He's not necessarily my favorite actor, screenwriter, director.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, but I'm going to go with all of his movies, not because they're all bad, but because I love Prince and want to talk about all of them. So,
fair.
from best, in my opinion, to worst, here we go.
Okay.
First, Sign of the Times. Now,
Okay.
Sorry, let me rewind. To the best of my knowledge, Prince actually made 4 movies. All right,
That's
so I'm going to
correct.
start with Sign of the Times. I mentioned earlier that Sign of the Times is my favorite Prince album, which is a really hard choice because I love so many of them. But like, hey, you stick me on some island and I've only got that one tape or CD. I'm picking Sign of the Times.
Now,
So-
just let me give the audience, in case you don't know, missionaries, the Sign of the Times, along with being Prince's album from 1987, I think it was. They actually did a concert film under the same name. In 1987, to capitalize on his growing success in Europe, Prince toured extensively to promote the album as sales increased accordingly. However, the United States remained resistant to the film and sales began to drop. It was at this point that Prince decided to film a live concert promoting the new material for theatrical distribution. Despite critical acclaim, the film was actually a box office bomb, grossing only $3 million in the theaters.
Yeah, I was live back then, and I live in New York City, and I believe there's only like one theater, which was in Times Square, that was playing it. Maybe a couple more, but it was not in wide distribution.
It was not in wide
yeah, it was
distribution.
not.
No, it was not. No, it was not. But you're saying that you contend that the Sign of the Times, which features Prince with his basically like his full band, Sheila E. definitely there, the horn section of Eric Leeds and the Atlanta Bliss, and the documentary, which actually features also a look
Sheena
at
Easton is in that.
is in
Cat-
there.
Cat-
Cowboy say
dancers in it.
Cats in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
Cat
cats
Glover.
in it.
That's definitely in it.
You contend this is his best film.
I do. So I'll go with the cons first, just to get him out the way. Right?
Okay.
So there are 2 cons to Sign of the Times. The first is, Sign of the Times, as you said, is basically just a straight concert film.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
So now, in between every couple of songs, there'll be like a little, in my opinion, corny, brief little interstitial, or a little, he'll do a poem, or rain is wet and sugar is sweet, clap your hands, stomp your feet, that kind of thing, right? So in between numbers, there's a couple of little corny little bits that last for just like a minute or 2. And the only other con is the quality of Sign of the Times. I guess they didn't preserve it very well.
Yes.
So if you watch it on demand, wherever you find it, yeah, there are going to be parts where it's a little grainy or what have you. It's not high definition, every aspect of it.
Right.
And that is it. If you are a person who you love Prince and somebody else is like, why do you like Prince? Like, show them Sign of the Times. If they don't like Sign of the Times, they just ain't never gonna get it, right? But yet the performances are just top notch. It's like amazing songs, amazing dancing. It is, enough said. Sign of the Times, boom, my favorite Prince film, period.
I never think of it as a Prince film, but I also love Sign of the Times. And I love how it showcases the band.
Yes.
Like you see.
Yeah, you see more of them.
Right. And
Yeah,
you almost.
and the film that people know the best, which is actually going to be my next film, is Purple Rain. And in Purple Rain, I think when most people think of Prince, like if they're not diehard Prince fans, you think of Prince, you think of Prince and the Revolution.
Right.
And I love the Revolution, but the band in Sign of the Times and afterwards is just so much richer, fuller, and better, in my opinion, than the Revolution. So that it's a winner.
Well, like you said, it's a fuller band. It's
for sure.
It's like almost, it's a nice size, sizable.
Yeah. And I have to say, concert films can be boring after a while. And I do think just visually, there's so much going on in Sign of the Times.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That it works just as a visual experience.
Yeah, the set is hot. The outfits, the costume changes, the Sheila E. solo, the lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a winner right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what lets it down is what you said is some of the production value that it looks okay, but
you could tell it could have been better.
It could have been better.
Could have looked better.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And Prince directs the shots himself.
Mm-hmm.
So and I don't think Prince is proven to be like the surest hand as a director.
Sure.
But I mean, okay, all right. I'm
going to say, in my opinion, I'm trying to be fair and say something pro and con about all the films. Mm-hmm. Those are the only cons, as far as I'm concerned, for Sign of the Times. Like I don't think your average person is going to walk away thinking anything other than, that was kind of dope. Like,
yeah. And I had an experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you on Sign of the Times as an album?
It's my favorite Prince album.
That is your favorite?
Yeah, that's my favorite one too.
I feel like so-called real Prince heads always name something else, like another album.
Right. Well, you were speaking of our good friend Tanya Pendleton. She made me feel too. Like I asked her what her favorite Prince album was, and she started talking about a performance, and he was in Seattle, and there's some tape of him, and there's an
Instagram reel of him in his closet.
Look, I'm not talking behind Tanya's back, because I've said this to her face. Tanya is one of those Prince fans that you think you're a Prince fan
until
you meet like actual Prince fans, and then you're like, oh, okay, I like Prince.
All right,
but like
I got one for you.
You're one of those, like you're a Prince fan.
So I had so first off, the biggest Prince fan that I'm in touch with on a regular basis is Marco Nobles from rhythmandsoulradio.com, one of the stations that we air on. And Marco's such a Prince fan. He went on the Paisley Park tour, and like as they were doing the tour, like after it was over, he pulled like the tour guide to the side. It's like, yeah, when you mentioned such and such, actually, it's he corrected the tour.
Look, man,
like politely, quietly to the side. But the biggest Prince fan I knew was a brother named Bill Bowler, and I remember Bill and I were talking about Prince's band, The Time, Morris Day and The Time, and Bill is telling me about how he saw this interview where Morris Day is talking about how he got the idea for the bird. And he said that in the interview, Morris says he got the idea for the bird from the pterodactyl dance from the Flintstones cartoon. And I'm like, oh, word? He's like, yeah. And Bill's like, yeah, I have it on video. And I'm like, oh, you got the interview on video? And Bill's like, no, I got the pterodactyl dance for the Flintstones episode on video. Like, that's a Prince fan right there. But all right, so how about I segue to the next? So
sure.
I got three left. Ready?
Speaking of Morris Day, yes.
Speaking of Morris Day, I'll segue to my next Prince film, Purple Rain.
Sure, of course.
Of course.
Oh, okay,
1984.
You gonna get the plot?
1984, Purple Rain, the rock musical drama.
Oh, yeah.
Starring Prince in his acting debut. It also features several concert sequences featuring Prince and his band, The Revolution, as Ade mentioned. The film is loosely based on the life of Prince as the talented but troubled frontman known only as The Kid.
Kid. Oh yeah.
To escape his difficult home life where his father verbally and physically abuses him and his mother. He spends his day rehearsing and his nights performing at the First Avenue nightclub where he does battle against Morris Day and his group, The Time, and Des Dickerson and his group, the Modernaires, as they hold the nightclub's 3 house band slots. The kid soon comes upon a young Apollonia, an aspiring singer, a new arrival in Minneapolis, to lead his group, and tries to persuade her that that she is destined to be his in Purple Rain from 1984. Prince, and as Day mentioned, probably when you think of Prince,
Sure.
if you think of Prince movies, you think of Purple Rain.
Of course you do.
But for many people, when you think of Prince, you're thinking of images from Purple Rain.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you, Day, have some cons there where you want to say that Purple Rain is a bad black movie.
The whole premise of this month is bad black movies. I'm just going from best to worst.
Okay,
Gotcha.
so where are we on Purple Rain? Where we at, bruh? Where we at?
Okay, so
Because I'm gonna let you know the missionaries are coming for you.
I know that's right.
Pretty
Okay.
Dancer already said that you can chew glass and kick rocks while
No
playing in
problem.
traffic blindfolded. So I'm just letting you know.
All right, so let's go with I'll go with the cons first. Get them out the way.
Yes, get them out the way. So
All right, 1,
have a show.
Prince, amazing musician, but Prince, Morris, all of them, they're not actors. Okay, so let's just tell the truth. Second, it's a misogynistic movie. All right, whether you're throwing women in the garbage cans or slapping them or
Making them strip naked in the waters of Lake. What is it?
Minnetonka, which name
He
Lake
did not
Minnetonka.
make her strip. He never said that's Lake Minnetonka. He said you have to purify yourself in the waters, and she assumed that was Lake Minnetonka, but he never said that's Lake Minnetonka.
True. So my challenges with
He
Purple
actually
Rain,
tries to stop her. He actually says, "Wait." I mean, not
like,
that much.
like when she's about like a half foot away from the water.
Right.
Yeah, because you just now said it louder than he said it. Because he said, wait.
And then the other two problems with it are, there's, the homophobia. And lastly, not a big problem, but it's a predictable movie. Like from start to finish, like you know what's going to happen for the most part. So those are the cons. And as I said, with every movie, I'm going to try to say the cons and the pros as I see.
All right, now say the pros.
The pros so outweigh the cons. I'm sorry, but look, first off, the music is amazing in Purple Rain. Like, I mean, as you guys said, if you think of Prince songs, like the Prince songs that most of the world can name are pretty much all from Purple Rain. Secondly, it's darn near a concert film. It's not like Sign of the Times is a real concert film. Purple Rain comes pretty darn close. And the performances in Purple Rain are absolutely electrifying. Like, I mean, they are exciting to watch, like all these decades later. What is it? Is this like the 40th anniversary of Purple Rain?
Yes, it is.
Whoa.
It is.
Oh,
It is.
Yeah. 40 years later, those performances are still off the chain. It's a fun movie. It's a sexy movie. And it's got Apollonia in it. So I'm just saying, right? On top of that, Morris Day and Jerome and The Time, they are great comedic fun throughout the movie. And here's one of the things I think is the best thing about one of the best things about Purple. I mean, obviously, best thing about Purple Rain, Prince, hands down, right? But one of the best things about Purple Rain, I said it's predictable. Even though you know that Prince is going to win, he's gonna get the girl. And one of the plot parts that Len, you didn't mention is the kind of setup for Purple Rain is Billy owns First Avenue. As you mentioned, there are 3 bands in there, and Prince's music is a little quirky. Sometimes he's hitting, sometimes he's not. And Billy is like, yo, it kind of would be better if I had a sure thing. And Morris kind of is like, yeah, what if we brought you a sexy girl group, right?
Right.
But if we bring you the sexy girl group, let's get rid of the revolution. Well, there's the basic battle of the bands. Now, it's a Prince movie. You know, walking in, that Prince is not getting kicked out that club. You know that Prince and the Revolution are going to win, right? But having said that, every time the time hits the stage, you're kind of like, I don't know. Like, is the Revolution gonna be able to top what the time just did? Because the time, they just killed it. How's the Revolution gonna top that? Like, like by the plot device that logically the Revolution has to top it. But when the time is out there doing their thing, there are times you're wondering, like, can the Revolution actually do it? So for all of those reasons, like, Purple Rain is just, it's a winner of a movie. I recommend it. It's despite its flaws.
I'll just tackle the cons.
Go ahead.
That's what you gotta do, the cons. I don't think Prince, nor Morris Day, nor Jerome are actors. But I think all 3 of them have charisma.
Absolutely.
Like, I think all 3 of them have, and Prince in particular, this is not radical at all. You cannot take your eyes off of him. Mm-hmm. Like, even in the scenes where he's not performing, mm-hmm. like there's a hint, and I, we're probably going to tussle. Like, I can already tell what we're really going to tussle about is Under the Cherry Moon. But there is a hint of the humor and wit that Prince has in that Lake Minnetonka moment that I love, where and I think we all kind of know this now, like, Prince was funny. I think for their acting shortcomings, the performance of someone like Clarence Williams III, who I think is actually great in Purple Rain, kind of helps to carry it. The misogyny, I think part of that is the point. I think part of the point was the kid is kind of continuing this abusive streak that he's seen his father do. Now, it is played for laughs when they throw her in a trash can, throw the woman in a trash can. Like, that's just 1984 misogyny. Mm-hmm. And even the homophobia, I think, is more 1984 than not. But like you, I think Purple Rain is legitimately one of the great musical films. I think it's iconic for a reason. Like you said, once someone starts performing, and I think you make a very good point. Like, we obviously spend the most time talking about the Revolution, but the time is electric every time they're on stage. And as you said, like, you understand why these 2 groups are rivals. And, and Billy really does kind of go back and forth because, as he tells the kid, don't nobody understand your music but yourself.
But you.
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
So what I would say about Purple Rain, right, is and I know, again, like, folks want to, like, get on me about what I'm saying, and you could get at me on social media, the Harlem Connection, or
Harlem Connect FM.
At Harlem Connect FM on X, the Harlem Connection on Facebook and Threads and IG. Fine, attack me. Here's my argument, right? Like, if you take a movie like The Shawshank Redemption, and you never actually see the movie, and someone hands you the screenplay, you will read that screenplay and go, oh, okay. You would be kind of enthralled just by the screenplay. Mm-hmm. And when you take the acting and the pacing and the music and you put it all together, it's masterpiece. But if you just took the screenplay of Shawshank Redemption, you would be like, oh, this is good. If you just took the screenplay of Purple Rain, you you probably would wrinkle your nose. But it doesn't matter because once you actually see the actual movie, it's fire, right? So there are certain movies where you're like, okay, technically, if I'm like, go on, yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's just, it's that damn good. So anyway, Len, anything you want to say on it? Otherwise, I'll move on to the last two.
Well, I do want to say, I want to push back on a couple of things that y'all mentioned.
Okay.
One is the misogyny and the homophobia are definitely of its time, right? But I would say that they do make it hard for, they hit me pretty hard when I rewatch Purple Rain in nowadays, right? And like, you know, I get the whole thing with Apollonia. It's maybe part of the plot. Maybe it's the kid being the kid. You know what I'm saying? But like that whole throwing the woman in the trash can bit and the harshness with which they do it. I know it's played for laughs, but it's not funny. You know, it's to me it hits like old Eddie Murphy jokes. They just don't hit the same way anymore, man, because we know better, right? And considering, like you said, the charisma that, you know, admittedly, Morris Day, Jerome, and Prince all have, it didn't have to go there.
No.
It didn't have to go there, right? Again, for 1984, I agree with y'all as far as Morris Day and the time when they hit the stage. It's electric. Not soon after, probably if I'm being dead honest, by like 87, 88, I returned to Purple Rain. The Morris Day, the time music starts feeling a little dated to me.
Oh my God.
And it just,
you're actually smoking crack right now.
And it don't hit the same. It don't hit the same. And I'm not going to say that there aren't some aspects of the Prince music that are the same, but Prince is just Purple Rain. Purple Rain is just
let me just interrupt you by thanking you for saying that, because any bad emails or hate mail that I was fitting to get, by you saying what you just said about Morris Day at the time, send it all to Len, because you're out your mind, bro. Okay, that time.
Wow.
Okay. We're gonna just
ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about Jungle Love and The Bird.
Yes. We're familiar with Purple Rain. We know what songs they did.
We're talking about Jungle Love and The Bird.
No, you can say it in that tone if you want.
I'll say it in that tone, because that is the tone which those two songs deserve to be said in. Like Quiet as Kept, when those two songs come out on and I'm watching Purple Rain, I get up and leave. I don't need to watch them perform. I don't. I like Morris Day. I like Morris Day as Morris Day acting and him, Jerome, running around. I don't need to see them perform. I don't need to see them perform those songs. I like the time. I like other time songs. I don't need those two songs. Those two songs are dated and corny to me. Now, the rest of Purple Rain, Prince, bangers all day. I'm even there for Computer Blue, Darling Nikki, God Bless Purple Rain, Makes Me Cry. Like, yo, I'm there all day, all day, all day. But that, no. I'm sorry. And the third thing I will say, and hey, send your hate mail. I don't care. I love Prince. I like Prince.
Okay, go ahead.
One of my favorite performers of all time.
Look, man, you just shit all over Jungle Love and The Bird. So just say, look, just.
I'm going to say.
Look, man, look.
I'm going to say this.
Go ahead. Go ahead. What else?
I think Prince thinks he's funny. I don't think Prince is that funny.
I mean, he's not that funny in Purple Rain. I mean, there's a moment in Purple Rain.
There's one moment in Purple Rain. I don't think there's too many other moments in any of his other movies where he's funny. I don't think Prince is. Okay. I think Prince thinks he's funny, and maybe he is funny in a crowd,
sure,
in real life, where he,
right.
lets it,
All right, well, there you go. Lynn don't like The Bird, or Jungle Love,
but I like Purple Rain.
Right.
All right. Well, you just kind of set me up for my next movie.
Oh yeah, go ahead, please do.
All right, ready?
Yes.
Out of the 4 films, going from my favorites to my least favorites. Next up, Under the Cherry Moon.
Under the Cherry Moon, the romantic musical comedy drama from 1986 that stars Prince and where he makes his directorial debut.
Yes. He wanted Martin Scorsese to do it.
Prince stars as a gigolo Christopher Tracy.
That's right.
Along with his friend Tricky, played by one Jerome Benton.
His cousin, I believe.
I think they were actually half brothers.
I thought he called him cousin.
He called them cousin, but there's a scene in it where they talk about being brothers. But
it flip flops. Depends on what page of the script.
It is important that they're related, though. And we'll get to that. Go ahead.
Yes. They play gigolos who reside on the French Riviera, where Christopher works as a piano player at the Venus de Milo nightclub in Nice. Along with Tricky, spends his day identifying rich women to target in order to gain large amounts of money via marriage. Christopher is in an informal relationship with wealthy divorced spinster Mrs. Wellington, while Tricky is romantically involved with their landlady, Katie, who is threatening to evict them unless they pay 2 months of back rent. And from there, hilarity ensues in Under the Cherry Moon, the directorial debut of Prince and Ade Williams of the Harlem Connections. 3rd favorite Prince film.
3rd out of 4.
3 out of 4.
I'll reverse. I'll go with the pros. The cinematography is beautiful. It's a black and white film. It's beautifully shot.
A lot of Art Deco texture.
The next pro is the plot is relatively easy to follow.
Okay.
The next pro are the outfits, the clothing. Kind of, lots of fabulous clothes. The next pro is the soundtrack. That soundtrack is dope. There's so many great songs from that movie. Now they play in the background in the main, but I highly recommend that soundtrack. The soundtrack is called Parade, music from Under the Cherry Moon. Get the soundtrack. And overall take of Under the Cherry Moon is if you saw Purple Rain or Sign of the Times and you really resented how all the musical performances interrupted you from enjoying Prince's acting ability, then Under the Cherry Moon is the movie for you. If you saw Sign of the Times or Purple Rain and said, there's just way too many black people in these movies. I just wish Prince would make a movie with just 2 central black characters and nobody else playing any important role, then Under the Cherry Moon is the movie for you. And that's about all I can say on that movie. He does essentially 2 performances. I mean, opening credits and he's playing the piano at a bar, and then somewhere midway through, he pulls out a boom box and he lip syncs or he starts singing over a song which gets interrupted. And then as the credits are rolling, then that's the only time there's any kind of semblance of a real performance. It's basically a music video recapping the movie. And so that's Under the Cherry Moon. So again, you really want to see Prince acting for 2 hours without those performances getting in the way of your enjoyment, then that's your movie. That's my take on it.
Under the Cherry Moon is not a good movie, but I find Under the Cherry Moon an infinitely entertaining movie.
Really?
Like it has entertained me since it has come out. As you know, I'll mirror your compliments. I think it looks like nothing else. You know exactly what it is when it comes on. There are scenes in that film without any of the main players that if you see those scenes, you go, this is clearly Under the Cherry Moon. Mm-hmm. The soundtrack is amazing. I think the sense of place, the South, it looks like the South of France, which is where it was shot.
Thus, it should look like the South of France.
Yeah, but you're being smart, but don't act like they don't shoot things places all the time.
I know.
And they don't look like the place. Like they actually took advantage of it being
locale.
Of the locale. I find Prince and Jerome's relationship absolutely engaging. And I almost wish the love story was more of a side plot. Like I wish the film would have focused on these two men's lives and them sort of trying to, navigate and hustle through the South of France. Yeah. And then they kind of show their misadventures. I have always thought that Prince looked at Morris Day and Jerome in Purple Rain and realized they were having all the fun.
Yes.
Right.
And I want to do that.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
And then he kind of puts himself in there. And I do think Prince is funny. Like, I think I'm wearing my shirt. I've not gone to a record store since 1980. What year did this come out?
1986,
I think.
Yeah, I've not been to a record store since 1986. From that moment to this weekend, I go to the record store. Mm-hmm. That is all I purchase my Sam Cooke albums from, is the record store. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I enjoy Under the Cherry Moon. I really do.
So can I give a rebuttal real quick?
Okay.
So one, I have to admit, I'm tainted, right? Because as a Prince fan, I know that this is around the time that, the time has broken up.
Exactly.
And there's back and forth with Prince and Morris and what have you. Mm-hmm. And, as a Time fan, in addition to being a Prince fan, I'm like, okay, it's kind of grimy to take Jerome. And, right. So I know that it's a different movie, different characters, but there's a part of me that's like, yeah, but more importantly, I'm sorry. So backstory, I love comic books. I am a huge comic book fan.
So
and part of what I love about comic books is, as a general rule, you got the good guy, the bad guy, someone to root for, someone to root against, right? And Under the Cherry Moon, I'm like, who am I rooting for? There's the Kristen Scott Thomas, I guess her name is, who just comes across as, I'm sorry, a spoiled brat. Mm-hmm. There's Jerome and, Tricky and Christopher Tracy, who are trying to scheme on women, right? There's Kristen's father, who's having an affair, and he's a crook and what have you. And I'm like, okay, who am I rooting for here? And that's and a lot of it is based on, you're right, that there is camaraderie and chemistry with Prince and Jerome Benton. But the problem is, the whole premise is supposed to be that he falls in love with Kristen Scott. He's supposed to be trying to hustle her, but then fall deeply in love with her and change his ways. But there's no chemistry. There's nothing that happens in the film that makes you go, oh, yes, that's why he would love her, or even that's why she would love him. And so overall, and again, it's a Prince movie without performances. So,
well, it's like Vincent said, he basically saw the fun that Morris Day and Jerome were having. He was in his going back and forth with Morris Day over the time, and had all those issues offset, and said, "Yo, I want to do that," because he thinks he's funny.
He is funny.
Because he thinks he's Prince. He can do it all. And it's interesting that we talked about the idol maker and how the idol maker kind of like builds up and makes these stars, right? And the one thing you can say that, not knocking the talent of the time at all, or Morris Day, but Prince had a hand in kind of like creating and crafting their image,
Sure.
and some of their music, right? So he had that hand. So you can almost see him feeling, and especially from what we have learned about Prince, especially around this time, you could almost see him saying like, well, yeah, I'm going to take Jerome and be in my movie because I made the time anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and I can do what Morris Day did because I created that. I'm kind of like built up that character anyway. But he can't because he's not Morris Day. Morris Day is a different type of energy than Prince can give off. Because to Ade's point, Prince, the reason why it doesn't play is, yes, it's a weak script, but it also doesn't play because Prince wants to be playful, but he doesn't want to be vulnerable. He doesn't want to let anybody in. He doesn't want to let anybody else have fun. He wants to be the joke maker, but not the joke taker. And that is where he gets in trouble in this film. That is why this chemistry that you two are saying that you see in Jerome, I don't see it at all. I see Prince striving hard to be Morris Day, and he can't do that. And to Ade's point, he has absolutely zero chemistry with anybody else in the freaking movie. So you don't believe any of that. It's a waste of a beautiful movie. It's a waste of beautiful cinematography. It's a waste of a beautiful location. It's a waste of a fantastic soundtrack. But it is a god-awful movie.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Yeah, I disagree with both of y'all. I think they have great chemistry. I think you see a side of Prince you don't often see. And not for nothing, I don't want to lose this. I love the fact that Prince is playing an unambiguously black man. Like, I love the fact that Jerome is his cousin or his half brother. Like, isn't this sort of like there's this kind of wing of princedom that wants to lean into him sort of being racially ambiguous and even in Purple Rain, where the actress who plays his mother is sort of beige.
Yeah.
Like, I love the fact that it's so funny. We were just talking about this a couple of months ago with Flashdance, and how part of her ambiguity is she can have no relatives at all. I love the fact that every 90% of the time that Prince is on screen, he's on screen with Jerome. And to your point, Ade, like you said, if you want to see a Prince movie with it's only two black people, but one of the black people is Prince. I do. I enjoy it. Like, I'm never going to fight.
Okay, so let me give you one pushback to that, though,
Okay.
right? Which is, not only are there no other black people with any other significant roles or what have you, and I could be wrong, and I'll just take the loss because I'm not going to ever see that movie again. But from my recollection, the only other time that anybody black has a speaking role is when he's like dreaming or something, and he's been a gigolo with all these white women, and then at some point, like, a black woman is coming on to him, and he turns around and like he's horrified because she's ugly, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm sorry, you can miss me with Under the Cherry. I love me some Prince, but when it comes to that movie, you can miss me all day with that.
Well, I will just say I don't know where either one of you are going to go if you want a Sam Cooke album.
I'll take that. All right, so we'll get to my number one, the least favorite.
I'm
Prince
sorry.
movie.
I'm sorry, Vince. He tells me not to do this all the time. I took a look at the chat.
Nope. We not, No.
But Tanya's watching.
Nope.
Tanya's watching. Tanya's watching.
Nope.
Tanya's watching. She heard me talk about the time in Purple Rain. And she says, dated, corny, Len, I used to respect your opinion.
I know. Where do you get crack in 2024? Like, I was going to wait till after the show was over because, like, now I'm genuinely curious. Like, where do you go and get crack?
And so,
like, I know it's a big heroin town, and I know the kids are doing pills and things, but that actually sounded crackheadish. So I was like, wow, what is Lynn? Like, is it like artisanal crack?
Artisanal.
Like, do you have a guy?
so
Do you DoorDash your crack? How does one procure crack in 2024?
Will you let a day continue?
I'm sorry. I really was curious because I was like, wow, Lynn is actually on the pipe, which is something I had not thought in 20 years about somebody.
Continue a day.
all right, so that leaves us with one more movie.
Want to steal my tape deck out?
You gotta sit there and go, as much as I dogged Under the Cherry Moon, how could there possibly be a movie that I like less?
Get on your microphone. We can't hear you.
Sorry, as much as I dogged Under the Cherry Moon, I gotta go with Graffiti Bridge.
Sure.
Graffiti
I'll
Bridge.
explain why, but
Of course.
you want to give a breakdown about the plot for Graffiti Bridge?
Well, Graffiti Bridge from 1990 stars Prince in his third and final major theatrical film. It is a standalone sequel.
Yes, it is. Yeah, of sorts.
To the 1984 film Purple Rain, where Prince returns as the Kid, living a future life as an upbeat performer and co-owner of a club, Glam Slam, which was willed to him from Billy. Solitary and lovelorn, he spends his personal time composing songs and writing letters to his deceased father. The other co-owner who was included in the will is Morris Day, his rival, who now also owns his own club, Pandemonium, while desiring to control the other two clubs in the Seven Corners area, which are Melody Cool and the Clinton Club. Needing to pay the mayor of Seven Corners $10,000, because you have to, Morris attempts to extort the Kid by threatening to take full ownership of Glam Slam. Making matters more interesting is the arrival of Aurora, an angel sent from heaven to sway both Morris and the Kid into leading more righteous lives while dealing with their attraction to her. As the Kid continues to resist him, Morris begins to embarrass him via performances with his band to steal the Kid's customers. Losing clientele and having his club defamed by Morris's henchmen, the Kid decides to challenge Morris to a music battle for ownership of Glam Slam. But after Aurora gets hit by a car,
Oh my God, how long is this plot
the
summary?
two rivals settle their dispute and join forces.
Right. And I think you really do need to underline, because you said an angel sent from heaven, which people might think you're just being kind of facetious, or she is an actual angel.
Yes.
Sent from actual heaven.
Yes.
In this plot.
Yes.
All right. Go ahead, Aday. I just thought people should know we're talking about
all right,
a
so-
supernatural element.
So let's go with the good. Some nice outfits.
Okay. All right. Outfits.
Outfits.
B,
Yeah, Prince, nice outfits.
some of the songs and some of the performances.
Okay. All right.
And that's about all I can say that I thought was good about Graffiti Bridge.
Yeah.
So now, let me go with the bad. In fifth place in terms of bad, The Set. Like, okay, even though I didn't like Under the Cherry Moon, at least you're like, okay, like this is gorgeously filmed. It's like it's filmed in location in France. It's filmed in location in Miami. Like Graffiti Bridge is clearly just a set. They couldn't even be bothered to have like the clubs down the street from each other. They're like next door to each other. And it looks like an obvious set.
Yes.
Strike one. The battles for
their musical souls.
Yeah, it's the like again, Purple Rain, you're like, okay, the time, I'm sorry, Len, in my opinion, the time gives the Revolution a run for their money. And the music is hot. In Graffiti Bridge, when they're actually battling each other, the songs are weak. And if you're going to, so I'm sorry, let me clarify. Part of why I feel like Graffiti Bridge is a worse movie is because things are based on your expectation. If you think something's going to be horrible and it is, it's horrible, but at least you're like, okay, well, that's what I thought. But as I said, Purple Rain was enjoyable as F. So you're like, okay, he made some mistakes here, he made some mistakes there, but he's going back to Purple Rain. It's a sequel to Purple Rain. So at least there's that. And it was just more disappointing because you're like, oh, damn, they didn't even get the sequel to Purple Rain right. In Purple Rain, Prince pretty much wrote damn near every song and produced damn near every song. Yes. But there was like a lot of variety in the sound, right? So if you check the notes, you're like, okay, like, yeah, Prince wrote that one too. But it doesn't, it's not a dead giveaway. In Graffiti Bridge, everything sounds like Prince. Like literally, you hear when it's a Morris Day song or a Tevin Campbell song or a Mavis Staples song or a George Clinton song, you hear Prince's voice in the background.
Yeah,
like, you hear him in the background vocal. They literally took Prince's songs that Prince wrote for himself and gave the other artists the track and were like, okay, sing over Prince. So it all sounds like it. Now, don't get me wrong, love Prince, but there's no tension when everything is like, why are there even different clubs when all the clubs are playing the same thing?
They're playing the exact same type of music.
Right.
Look the same.
So last two problems with Graffiti Bridge. Number two, the time. Now, in Purple Rain, they are his rivals. They are goofs. They're making fun and all of that. Like, they're goofs. In Graffiti Bridge, they are extortionists and thugs and attempted rapists. And again, like the joy, the fun of like watching.
There
like,
it is.
It's gone. And lastly, Vince, you pretty much hit it, right? Like, look, again, I'm not a movie guy. I'm a music guy. I love music, all kinds of music, all varieties. That's why I do a radio show, right? And I love music about angels, like how do you talk to an angel? And heaven must be missing an angel. And, Anita Baker's like, you're my angel. Like, all these different songs about angels. And I know that Prince always connected love and sex and God, right? Like conceptually. But when you're actually trying to have sex with an angel, that just feels a little, for me, a little creepy. And even worse, Morris and Jerome try to get her drunk and have her pass out and then try to like have sex with her while she's passed out. And I'm like, okay,
did we not learn any lessons from 1984? Because now we're in 1990. Are we going to say that this misogyny is of the 1990s time now, Vincent?
No. Oh, no, not at all. In fact, we are on record as saying it plays differently. Like it plays differently. Like there's actually a moment in Purple Rain where Morris is telling Apollonia to drink from the flask and they're both drinking for it. And, you know, I think it plays a little playfully. But it really is.
Yeah, in Graffiti Bridge, it's...
Look, all right. Do I have any... It's funny, I was sitting here thinking, is there anything good about Graffiti Bridge to me? I do love the fact that this was part of the impetus for the time getting back together. Like one of the little factoids, Warner Brothers said, we want the entire band in this film.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but the music nerd in me, the difference is in Purple Rain for Prince heads, that was actually part-time because at the time, Prince had a falling out with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
Yeah, that's right.
They didn't actually make it into the movie.
Right.
So that was what the Morris used to call the group part-time because it wasn't the original guys who did the time.
Right.
So yes, for Graffiti Bridge, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, who at this point had blown up and produced for Janet Jackson and you know what, the whole effing universe at that point they produced for. Like, it was nice to see them back with their original group. So,
right.
And I'll give you that.
The Time album that kind of comes out of this moment, Pandemonium, is not a bad. It's not a bad album. It's not my favorite Time album. I mean, I don't know about Lynn because you know, if the crack and all. So I don't know what you like or don't like. But it's not a bad album. So there's that.
Oh no. But wait, but pause. But some of the best stuff that's on Pandemonium, like Jerk Out.
Oh, it's not in the movie.
Doesn't even make it into the movie.
I was about to say they got the time back together and then immediately waste them.
Right, because it's almost to the point that Len was making earlier. It was almost like, well, in Purple Rain, the time maybe gave him too much competition, so we're going to have them battle this time. Don't put Jerk Out in Graffiti Bridge, because Jerk Out is a hot song, right? Yeah, so we'll have him do Shake.
I do think all the songs sound like Prince, but I actually like Round and Round. And I like Melody Cool.
I'll give you those.
I think I might be finished.
You're done.
Then. Yeah, you know, like you said, I think it's clearly on the set, and you know, it's filmed at Paisley Park, which you know, and we talked about this. Like, I can't believe they didn't go right across town.
It's cheaper.
If you're doing a sequel to Purple Rain, you should be performing at First Avenue.
Right. And I will say the sort of critique that has kind of been ambient about Prince this evening, you know, kind of takes himself too seriously and this, that, and the other. This is where I see it. Part of the reason I'm so adamant about him being playful in Purple Rain and Under the Cherry Moon is because he's actually insufferable in the movie.
Yeah.
Like part of the reason that the time have to be thugs and rapists and gangsters is because Prince is absolutely angelic. And you gotta, you know, like you have to have this contrast set up. And it just, it's there. There's no frisson there.
Nothing.
No one in this film is a good enough actor to pull off any of it.
No.
And it was much like you. Like, I remember sitting in the parking lot of the movie theater just sad and confused after watching this. Because like you said, Under the Cherry Moon comes out because they're trying to persuade him to make a sequel to Purple Rain. So like everyone had sort of been waiting for this thing. And then you had this.
Yeah, but by 1990, even that's only 6 years later, I don't know how much the world is really craving a sequel to Purple Rain.
Right.
More Prince music, even though if I remember, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, is this around the time that Prince starts kind of like doing his pseudo hip hop type of stuff?
Oh, whoa. Hey, glad you said that. So yet one more thing wrong with the movie, right? So Prince had, at the time, you know, it's like he not only didn't like hip hop, but even like dissed hip hop on a song called "Dead on It" on the Black album, which he shelved, and then it eventually came out later. He's dissing hip hop. Rappers' problems stem from being tone deaf. Pass a mic, ask them to sing, there won't be no one left, right? So he's dissed hip hop, but clearly hip hop is just a juggernaut by 1990. And so, like, kind of reluctantly, he's got
to start playing around with it.
Right. So there's this bit in Graffiti Bridge where he's got a rapper named TC who is begging to get put on. And, they have the battle of the bands bit, and Prince loses initially. And so he's lost the club, and TC looks around to the empty club and is like, damn, I ain't even get to rap. And you're like, really? Like, that's your takeaway? And then when does he finally get to rap? As the credits roll. You're like, all right, TC, you've been in the movie the whole time. As the credits roll and people are running from their seats to get out of the theater, go ahead, do your little rap thing.
That's basically what he does. Throws hip hop a bone. I can't stand Graffiti Bridge. I can't stand any part of it.
Sure.
Prince has no one to blame but himself. He directed this movie.
Sure.
I like Round and Round because I'm a Tevin Campbell fan.
Sure. You gotta love Tevin Campbell.
Melody Cool is cool.
I like Melody.
Thieves in the Temple is one of my favorite Prince songs.
It's a good song.
But other than that, there is like not any aspect about this movie I like. And it's almost as if he took, all right, they want a sequel to Purple Rain. So now I got to double down on everything from Purple Rain. So if the time were jerks in Purple Rain, well, they're going to be hardcore thugs, a damn near a gang in Graffiti Bridge, right? I was a lost soul in Purple Rain, but now I sing with the angels.
Yeah.
And only the angels can understand my love.
Yeah.
Get the out of here.
Yeah.
Get fuck back over that damn bridge. So
there you go.
There you go. So you're right about that. Graffiti Bridge is a bad black movie. I contend that Under the Cherry Moon is a bad black movie.
You are that is a very crowded island.
Yes.
Like, that is the consensus. That is the agreement that the world has come to.
Yes.
I like it.
So to summarize, I wanted to talk about Prince, and I figured, okay, let me be a completist and do all his movies.
Right.
But out of the 4, I hate 2 of them. And 2 of them, go see. How about that?
Well, there you go. He's 50-50.
75% with me. That's a C+ if the teacher likes you.
Okay. All right. We'll give him a C+.
But there's no reason to see Graffiti Bridge.
There's none
In
whatsoever.
that we are all of one accord.
Yes.
The best I can say is if you could go to YouTube and pull up the performances from Graffiti Bridge and save yourself everything else. You want to hear Thieves in the Temple, pull up the video for Thieves in the Temple, please.
That's probably the only one you really need to pull up. Maybe Round and Round.
I actually think Round and Round is the best performance in the movie.
Yeah, I'm about to say Round and Round is probably.
Yeah, I think he's better than Prince in the movie.
I don't think you really need to see anything else from Graffiti Bridge.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, which is a sad statement when it's a Prince movie. So
yeah, there you go.
And then you're like, is that George Clinton roaming around in the back? He's like in the back eating a bagel. It's like, does he know he's in a movie? What is George Clinton doing over there? He's like balancing his checkbook.
You know what? Now that you mention it, Weekend Funk is actually a pretty dope song, but they didn't bother to play
any Parliament Funkadelic in your entire life.
They didn't bother to play the whole song. Like they gave you a snippet of it and then just kind of faded. Yeah. Anyway,
it's okay, but like you said, if you've heard Parliament Funkadelic and then you hear George Clinton say, you're like,
what is happening right now?
But I'd be remiss if I didn't say, if you want to hear some good music, tune into the Harlem Connection radio show. We're on every weekend on a variety of different platforms, and we play the good stuff from every genre, every era, as long as the artist somehow has a Harlem connection. And you know what? That's pretty much everybody, because this is an amazing community.
All right.
All right. Well, I'll tune into the Harlem Connection when they dedicate a weekend to Glenn Campbell and see how that connects. Look at him.
Will we? Hey, did you know that Beyonce did a country album? I don't know if you guys heard.
See?
So we might be actually doing
go.
the Harlem Connection to country.
There you go.
We might.
See?
Tune in. Follow us on social media. Find out. On X, we are Harlem Connect FM. On everything else, we are the Harlem Connection.
Ade Williams, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
thank you so much for joining us tonight, my brother.
Thank you for having me. Turnabout is fair play. I have to say, one of my favorite episodes of the Harlem Connection was when I got to interview you guys when we did the show, the Harlem Connection to the movies. And so y'all done turned the tables on me. I appreciate it. I really appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Most definitely. That's most definitely. We're gonna let you go as we say goodbye to the rest of the
Good night.
audience. If you, ladies and gentlemen, want to let us know what you thought of our dedication to the filmography of Prince, you can email us at themicheauxmission@gmail.com, MICHEAUXMISSION@gmail.com. You can also hit us up on all the social media, X, Instagram, and Facebook at Micheaux Mission. If you're watching us now live as we're streaming from Young Junk on YouTube, you can hit that bell, subscribe to the Micheaux Mission on YouTube so you can be notified when we go live with our show. And we put up all our shorts and edited videos up there. You can be notified of all of them. And please, if you're watching the shorts and if you're watching the videos, watch them all the way to the end, because that tells YouTube, hey, they like this content. Let's push this out to other movie lovers and see if they like the content too. But if you really want to help us, tell a friend, tell somebody to subscribe to the Micheaux Mission, either on YouTube or wherever they get podcasts, because wherever you find podcasts, that's where you'll find the Micheaux Mission. And if you like podcasts and if you want to do a podcast, why don't you do your podcast at Young Chunk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace, right in the Manayunk section of Philadelphia. You can hit our man Dylan at youngjunk.com. That's DYLAN at youngjunk.com. Tell Dylan that Vincent and Len said, we want you. There's 1,000 Dylans around here. He'll just grab one and do the thing with you. All right. Also, if you are a podcast and you are looking for a home, why don't you try The Podglomerate? ThePodglomerate.com. They make podcasts work, such as ours. We have been a member of the Podglomerate family for 7 years, Vincent.
It's all right.
It is all right with us. All right. Next week here on the Micheaux Mission, as we continue rocking out in the merry month of May, I have another bad black movie. We are joined by Daryl Charles and Tim Marie of the DTF Fun Hour.
Yes.
As we, oh boy.
Got something for you.
Don't let us be your judge, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be reviewing a film that actually won an award.
Oh, yeah.
As the worst movie of 2004.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Halle Berry in Catwoman.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Next week here on the Micheaux Mission. Until then, he's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting we say,
we'll see you when it's time to meet again.